Good afternoon, students. So we are during our last few lectures, we have started with the construction material, so we have started with the construction material, and we have tried to go through the properties of brick and we have seen the characteristic of good brick, classification of brick, then fly ash brick, cement, the procedure of cement, types of cement, then we have tried to see the different types of cement. In that we have first seen Portland cement, second one was rapid hardening Portland cement, third was low heat Portland cement, fourth one was Portland Pozzolana cement, fifth one was white cement, sixth one sulfur resisting cement. Then we have tried to get the idea regarding the aggregates, in which we have seen three major category: angular type, then after elongation, and the flaky shape. So these three were the major one that we have observed in last lectures. Then we have also gone through the classification of aggregate. We have also seen the concept of surface area. Then again the classification of aggregate, same thing. And now in today's lecture we are starting with the mortar, right? So basically there are four types of mortar which are available on site. First one is lime mortar, second cement mortar, third one is cement lime, combination of both the mortar, that is cement and lime, and fourth one is special category. So first of all, lime mortar. So in lime mortar, this is one of the conventional methods, right? And over here, if we are using wet lime, that is more rich in calcium oxide, then it is having a characteristic of shrinkage, and that is why we are adding sand 2 to 3 times than the actual required one, right? And lime should be slacked before use. Slacked means we are adding extra water. So this mortar is not suitable whenever we are having waterlogged area, right? Waterlogged area means the area so in waterlogged area means the area in which the water has been collected for some durations or it has been kept permanently. Over here, the proportion of the hydraulic lime to sand is 1:2. So this mortar should be consumed within 1 hour after mixing. If we are not using it within 1 hour, then there are possibilities of the strength, the actual strength, we will not get it, and there are chances of crack which are going to happen whenever we are using after 1 hour. So the disadvantage is of using this hydraulic lime is we are time bound first of all, and second thing is we need to operate it within the time limit, otherwise we will not get the strength. Second one is cement mortar, and in cement mortar we are using the proportion of cement, not of lime, and along with cement we are going to have mixture of sand in a proportion which is ranging from 1 is to 2 to 1 is to 6. So based on the usage or based on the strength we are having variation of the proportion. If we need more strength we are going for 1 is to 2, right? And if we require less strength, then we will go for 1 is to 6. So these are the usage, different masonry work, then architectural work, and load bearing structure, that is one type of plastering work in a building. So most probably the building that we are observing nowadays are load bearing structure, right? So in load bearing structure we are having plastering work inside and outside of this building with the help of this cement mortar. Next, third category is a cement lime mortar. So it is basically a combination of both the thing. Some proportion we are mixing it lime and we are replacing this lime with a cement so that we can obtain good strength, right? Basically whenever we are replacing this lime with cement we will have good strength. That is why the cement mortar has been introduced. Then after special mortar, the name itself suggests we are having some new characteristic or the properties which are associated and in addition to that of cement mortar. So it is having good characteristic of fire resistance, right? And this mortar is prepared by adding some metallic component, that is aluminium cement, to finely crushed powder of fire brick. Usually the proportion is 1 part of aluminium cement to 2 part of powder in fire brick. So these are the four classifications of mortar. Moving next, we are having properties of good mortar. So based on the compositions of this mortar, we are having different characteristic strength. Now strength can be measured in kilonewton per meter square. Strength indicates the formula of stress. Stress is force upon area. So force is indicated in kilonewton and area is indicated in meter square. So if we go for the proportion 1 is to 3, then the strength which we are obtaining is 750 kilonewton per meter square. And if we are going for proportion 1 is to 6, then the strength which we are obtaining is 450 kilonewton per meter square. So as we move further, if we go for 1 is to 2 proportion, then it will be having more strength than that of 750. And as we move downward, that is 1 is to 4, 1 is to 5, 1 is to 6, the strength will get reduced, right? And on another hand, if we go for lime mortar, the strength which we are obtaining in 1 is to 3 proportion is 450. So most probably nowadays this lime mortar has been replaced by cement mortar, right? Now if we are having combination of lime and cement in mortar, then the proportion which we are using is 1 is to 1 is to 6. So one proportion will be of cement, one will be of lime, and 6% will be of fine aggregate, that is sand. So the strength which we are obtaining in cement lime mortar is 500 kilonewton per meter square. Now the question arises, whenever we are mixing all this cement, lime, coarse aggregate or fine aggregate, what is the proportion of water to be considered? So for that we are having 20 to 25 percentage by volume, right? Actually this thing has been covered in our lecture, but most of the students were not available, so just we will simply go through this lecture very quickly. These two slides are only repeating. It should be capable of developing good adhesion with the building units such as brick and stone. So these are all properties which are in ideal conditions to be observed. Now we move to the topic concrete. So concrete, actually there are no some sort of definition, but still we need to have its technical definition as a mixture of fine aggregate, coarse aggregate and water. So these are the three major components along with the cement. Fine aggregate and coarse aggregate are inert material, while cement is a binding material. So cement will bind this aggregate, fine aggregate and coarse aggregate. Same as the mortar, concrete is also having three or four category. That is lime concrete, cement concrete, and the mixture of cement and lime. Okay. Then after we have also gone through this one of the grades, if we want strength of 7.5 kilonewton per meter square, then we are adding the cement in one proportion, fine aggregate as 4 and coarse aggregate in 8. So similarly we need to cram this entire grading system, and for that I have given one short key, that we are starting with 5, 7.5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and the first proportion is 1. Then we are starting from bottom, so bottom it will be 1. Then we are increasing the proportion from 1.5, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and at last we are multiplying the second proportion with 2. So we will get the third proportion of coarse aggregate as 5 into 2 is 10, 4 into 2 is 8, 3 into 2 is 6, 2 into 2 is 4. So similarly we will get all mixed proportion. So you need to cram this entire table under a concrete mixes. This is the mixture, a miller, the instrument in which we are mixing the concrete. Okay, so whenever we are going for concrete mixing, the one thing is not important. Along with the mixing procedure, we also need to focus on the transportation of this material which we have made, and along with the transportation we also need to have good placing. So there are four things that are involved in this operation. First one is mixing, that we have learned. Second one is transportation, that we have seen in photograph. Third one is compaction. So in compaction, whenever we are filling this concrete with any structure in any structural member, we are having three layers of this entire filling. So if our beam or a column is having certain depth. So if we consider any beam which is having depth 3 meter, right, then we are filling 1 meter of its depth, then we are doing compaction, right, with the steel rod, and the 25 numbers of blows we are applying. Second layer again of 1 meter, and again 25 times blow we will apply, and later on we will have third layer, which is the last one. So this is the entire compaction procedure. Fourth is a curing procedure. So curing procedure has been carried out in a hardened stage. Just now whenever we have poured the concrete, it will be in fresh or it will be in semi-solid form. Later on, after and 30 minutes to 600 minutes, it will get converted into hardened form. And when it's get converted into hardened form, we will go for the fourth procedure, that is curing. So this thing, some photographs are available along with us. And in compaction, as I have said, we are applying 25 numbers of blows in each three layers. One another method is also available, that is mechanical vibrators. So these are one type of machines which are available, and this is the diagram of a mechanical vibrators. So most probably we are using this mechanical vibrator in mass construction, right? So if we are having large area, see, this is the photograph of the mass construction, and this is the example of the bridge construction, right? So over here we are having concrete in mass. So whenever we will go for mass construction, we will use needle vibrator. And last one, curing, as I have said, when the concrete gets converted into hardened stage, we will go for curing process. Now what is the importance of curing? So whenever we will perform casting work of any concrete, this concrete will need some extra water, right? Because heat of hydration reaction is ongoing, so that will emit certain heats, right? We have already discussed in previous lectures that exothermic reaction will take place, and this exothermic reaction will emit certain heat. Ultimately it will lead the loss of water, and we need to gain this water, so we will go for curing procedure. One of the method of curing is to apply a wet gunny bag, right? So instead of sprinkling of water, we can go for wet gunny bag process also. In that we will apply the gunny bag to the circumference or on the periphery of this concrete surface, and we will sprinkle water. Now the advantage of this wet gunny bag process is we can continuously provide water to this particular hardened concrete, right? Next topic that we are going to learn is stone. So in stone we are having three type of classification system. In three different way we can have classification of this stone. First one is geological formation. So this is one of the method through which we can have classification. Second method through which we can have classification is physical characteristic. Based on the physical characteristic we can have its classification. And third one is chemical composition. So based on geological thing, geological indicates the location, the different location on earth. So whenever the earth come into existence, there were different formations of earth. You have learned that first the earth was in form of lava or a magma, then later on it cooled down. So you have learned the age of earth theory in science. So based on that we are having different rocks pattern at different places, right? So these are the actual three patterns. The first pattern is a igneous rock. So how we will get this igneous rock? Whenever solidification of magma take place, right? Solidification means, simply try to split the word in two. So it is solidi and fication. Fication means conversation. So the magma is in form of either liquid or semi-liquid, and later on in different stages, as the stages proceeds, it will convert in form of solid. So the best example of igneous rock is granite, right? Now you need to learn two examples of each and every rock. So for igneous rock, we will try to learn, or two examples will be granite and basalt. You can also go for other examples which are given in reference book, but at least you should remember two examples of each and every category. Next is a sedimentary rock. So sedimentary rock means, the key word in sedimentary rock is consolidations of layer, right? So this is the key word whenever you are writing any definition. In igneous rock, solidification is a key word, and in sedimentary rock, the key word is consolidation layer. So consolidation of layer, what do we mean by consolidation? It indicates the layer, different layers. Either it is composite of loose sand or a clay particles, right, below the earth surface. Now consolidation means it is under pressure. So this layer will get generated first, and certain pressure will be acted upon in form of earth pressure, right? So over here we can have two examples as sandstone and limestone. So over here we can have two examples, sandstone and limestone. Now how to remember this thing? Actually we need to remember two examples in each and every category. So for sedimentary rock we are having two examples, and both of them are having same initial S, 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 and limestone is also starting. So you need to remember sandstone and limestone, or else you can also go for shell, that is starting from S. So this is one of the trick through which you can remember sedimentary rock. Next one is metamorphic rock. Now metamorphic rock, actually it is a combination of both the processes which are involved in sedimentary rock and igneous rock. So if we go for its technical definition, metamorphic rock, then igneous or sedimentary rocks changes its original texture and mineral compositions due to high pressure and temperature. Now this temperature has been arrived over here, right? So there is a new keyword which you have to use in the definition of metamorphic rock, and for this example we are having genesis, right? And the second one is marble. So these two things you can learn very easily. This genesis has been derived from granite, and marble has been derived from limestone. So these two are the best example, genesis and marble, for metamorphic rock. Now the next classification method is based on chemical composition. So based on chemical compositions we are having three category: argillaceous, then siliceous and calcareous. So argillaceous means when the minerals constitutions are clay, so it is made up of clay, and the best example for it is slate and laterite. Now in examination, whenever they ask classification of stone, you should be very clear. If they ask based on geological formation, then you need to mention the things igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. If in examination they ask mention the classification of stone based on physical characteristic, then you should be very clear. You should write argillaceous, siliceous and calcareous. Now in siliceous, the main constitution is sand. So again over here S and S is a short key, and the best example of siliceous is quartzite and granite. Clear? So you should remember both this name. And for calcareous, it is a main constitution, or it is made up of lime. So clay, sand and lime are the three major content which are available in this three category. The example of calcareous are marble and limestone. Now the third method through which we have classification of stone is physical formation. So in physical formation we are having stratified rock and unstratified rock. Stratified means we are having different layers. They have distinct layers such as slate, sandstone and limestone. So again you need to remember name over here S, S and S. And for unstratified rock we are having example as granite and basalt. But over here we do not have layered formation. So you have to remember unstratified do not have layer and stratified have layers, right? These are the few sketches or few diagrams of stone which are available on site, or whenever you are going for mining. So we will get this stone in raw form. We need to have the dressing of the stone. We need to have finishing, polishing of the stone, and then later on we can use it. So this granite, it is very rough whenever we are obtaining it in raw material. But you have observed this in the platform of our kitchen, right? So it is very smooth. So we will go for its polishing procedure. Then after quartzite, it look like this way. Genesis. Again, Genesis is also a smooth surface finishing material. Then after, this is one of the sketch of sandstone. Okay. Now each and every construction proper material, we have initially learned that we will always go for five things. First one was its chemical composition, how it is made up of, right? Second one is what are the content, ingredients which are available inside it. Third one was its property. Fourth one was its advantage and disadvantage. And fifth one was its merit and demerit. So we have reached to property of this stone. Under again a property of stone, or in property of different construction material, durability is one of the thing which are available, right? So it will be very easy for you to remember. So over here again we will learn durability. So durability means the property of resistance against the weathering action. So if we place this stone in any of the three worst conditions, that is summer, monsoon and winter. In summer we are having intense heat, in winter we are having intense cold, and in monsoon season we are having humid climate. So in all these three condition, that is weathering effect, it will give good performance, and that is why it is a durable one. The another word which we are using in durability is the resistance to abrasive force. Abrasive force means whenever we are having any sharp pointed things, if you consider knife, then knife is a sharp and a pointed thing. If you simply scratch it on stone, it will try to give good performance. It will not break down, it will not get destroyed. So it is providing good resistive to abrasive effect. Second one is a weight. So whenever we go for the weight of this particular stone, then it will have the specific gravity which is ranging from 2.4 to 2.8. Now what is specific gravity? Specific gravity is a weight of this particular stone in reference to that of water, right? So if we try to have 1 meter cube of this particular stone, and in content to 1 meter cube of stone, if we take 1 meter cube of water, and if we take ratio of both the weight, then it will give us the specific gravity of 2.4 to 2.8. So it is in variation. Third property which is available is toughness. So the stone should be able to withstand the impact. Impact means if we apply certain loading, right? If stone is available and we drop hammer from certain height, then that is known as impact, right? If a pen fall down on our tiles, then the impact load has been applied to a tiles, so tiles will not get break down. But on another hand, pen is also a lightweight, so if we go for heavy load, that is hammer at a certain height, then tiles will break down or crack will be observed. So over here, if we are having good stone, then it should not get break, and that is why it is a ideal property. Ideal property and the actual one may be having certain difference. So another example of impact loading is the vibration of machineries. The persons or the students who are belonging from mechanical engineering, for them they are always dealing with the machineries. So if you place any machineries and if you try to operate this machine, then there will be certain frequencies which has been generated inside this machine. So this frequency will lead the material which is available below this machine to certain impact loading condition, and ultimately crack will happen, right? So many machines which are available in our lab are having good foundation which are made up of either concrete or a plain cement. So instead of that, we can also move or replace this below portion with the stone, because stone is having good toughness, right? Next property, ideal property, is a porosity and absorption. So stone actually should not absorb more amount of water. What happens if it absorb more amount of water? If it absorb more amount of water, then during the freezing means during the cold climatic condition, this water will get convert in form of solid, because water is having three stage: solid, liquid and gas. So if we boil water, it will convert in form of gas. If we lower down the temperature of water, it will get convert in form of solid, that is ice. So if water is already available in the porous or in the porosity of stone, and if we go for its uh, lower down of temperature, then freezing will happen, and ultimately its volume will get increase, and later on, if the volume gets increase, there are chances of crack to happen on this stone. So it should not be porous material and it should not have good absorption capacity. Next one is a dressing. So dressing means finishing of a stone. As we have seen the raw materials of each and every stone in a different diagram previously, these are the few raw materials, right? So if we go for basalt mine, then this type of raw material we will get. This is for granite. So we need to polish the surface of this particular stone, and that polishing is known as dressing process. Dressing also include the bifurcations of rock. So if we get basalt from a mine, and if it is long enough for 5 or 10 meters, we need to cut it into small pieces, right? Because we cannot lift this entire 2 or 3 meter or 5 meter long stone. So that dressing involves a desired shape, that is cutting of stone, carving. So for idols of god and goddesses, we are going for carving process, and ultimately for smoothing, it is known as finishing process. So this each and every things should be done easily, and it is the ideal property of a good stone, right? So you have to always focus on the word good stone or the ideal property of good building stones, right? So the stones which are easy or workable or it can be dressed easily are normally weak in strength, durable, and it will be hardest. So these are the few physical properties of the stone. Now seasoning, again a same thing as that of dressing, but seasoning we are using sometimes to some specific category of stone, and most probably seasoning is another word for timber also. So in timber we are also using this word seasoning instead of dressing. Coming to the cost criteria, so it should have obviously a lower cost, right? But if it is available, if the rock mine is available in local area, then it will be having less cost of transportation. But if it is not available in nearby area, then its transportation cost will get increased. So most probably whenever we are going for cost criteria, transportation will play a major role. Along with the transportation, if the availability of rock is very less, then also its price will get higher one. So over here you can also take example of gold. If we are dealing with gold and silver, then silver is having less price because it is more available, while gold is less available, so it is having more price, right? So if we go for good stones which is having good appearance, and if it is less available, then we will have more price of it, right? So transportation and availability both are the things which we need to keep in mind under a cost criteria, and we need to maintain less cost whenever we go for any construction of building. Okay, now we need to focus each and every stone in detail, but you need to learn it under a different categories. So this thing actually you need to have as a part of your knowledge which is beyond syllabus. So this thing has to be covered beyond the syllabus. Next, the topic lime we have already covered in our class, that limestone is available in raw material, that is CaCO3. We are heating it to get a quick lime. So in certain procedure we can use quick lime. If we don't want to use, we can add water and we can convert into a slack lime, that is CaOH twice. And if we go for its carbonation, we will again get that raw material. So in certain ingredients, that if we want to make cement, right, then we will use quicklime. So under the first process, whenever we will go for its first process, we will directly use CaO. We will not go for further procedure. And in some ingredients we are using slacked lime, so in that we have to go for two process. First one is providing heat, second one by adding water we will get slack lime. So based on the usage, we will have quick lime and slack lime. This thing is also discussed in our previous lecture, fat lime, hydraulic lime and poor lime. Actually, if you simply try to remember, fat lime means it is very rich in lime content, right? Hydraulic lime, it is having somewhat clay particles as a part of its impurity, and in poor lime more clay particle is available as a part of impurity. So based on the clay proportion you can have these three classifications. Under a hydraulic lime we are having again three category, that is feebly, moderate and eminently. So based on the percentage, right, if you go for this hydraulic lime specifically, then it contains alumina and silica. along with certain iron oxide material, right? But under this three, we are having addition of clay particles. So if we are having very less clay particle, it is feebly, medium particles of clay moderately, and more particle of clay it is eminently, right? So this is the classification of hydraulic lamp, sub classification. Don't need to remember this pozzolana, it is beyond the syllabus. Next material, construction material that we need to learn is a plastic. Now plastic we are using in our day to day life, right? So there are certain plastics which are very hard and rigid in their shape. We cannot change its shape, right? And there are certain plastic which in which we can change its shape by its softness, right? So if we cannot change the shape, it is known as thermoset, right? This thing you have already learned in your 12th science also. So thermoset is hard and rigid when molded at necessary pressure and temperature. It cannot be re-softened. Re-softened means it cannot be reused if we heat. While there are certain plastic which can be reused by softening it by providing certain heat, and that plastic are known as thermoplastic, right? So these are the plastic which we can go for its reuse also sometime. So you can quickly read the first para of this plastic. So the doubt which can be arised is the elastomer. Elastomeric means which cannot be elongated, which cannot be stretched, right? So if you are having one rubber band, right? I'm not talking about simply rubber which we are using in eraser, but if we are having rubber band, we can easily stretch it. So that is known as elastomeric material. So over here plastic is not a elastomeric material, so it cannot be elastomeric. What are the general properties again, right? In each and every construction material, the second step is this property. So the physical property, how does it look, how does it will behave, what are the good criterias, then for that plastic have aesthetic appearance because its appearance can be changed, it is flexible. If we want to appear it good, we can color it, we can change its shape, right? It is having brilliant color, the color may get changed. It is having heavy molecular weight, right? So sometimes if we go for any mechanical phenomena just like a car, then in car also we are using plastic, but we are giving it the name of fiber. So fiber is what? It is modified type of plastic which is having good structural arrangement. So it is heavy molecular weight and the specific gravity will be near about 1.4. So you need to remember under a plastic property is plastic is having aesthetic appearance, brilliant colors, heavy molecular weight and good specific gravity. You can skip the facts and figures of specific gravity as 1.4. You can simply write as good specific gravity. Second is the possess resistance to moisture. So but obvious you have seen each and every plastics which are available in our world or which are existing on world. In fact we are using plastic bottles also, right? We can never observe leakage in it, so that is having good resistance to moisture. Then oil, we are using it in bottle of our oil, hair oil. Then corrosion, so we can never observe corrosion on plastic and it do not have weathering effect, right? So if we keep plastic in open atmosphere, then it can easily withstand, that is durable. in all the three seasons, right? So it is having good weathering effect and it is having good chemical compositions, right? It is also having good electrical property and good optical property. So in optical fibers, sometimes we are using modified version of plastic. Also used easily and install and do not need any protective coat of paint, right? Because it doesn't corroded, it doesn't have weathering effect, it doesn't have chemical reactions, right? So it is very easy, we don't need to have any protective coat of paint. And insect and microbes also have less attack on plastic. That is why PVC come into picture. Initially we were having drainage pipe and all these pipes which we are using in building made up of cement, but later on it has been converted into PVC pipe. So we are having numbers of plastics, right, which we are using in building construction. So these are the name of the general plastics, right? Polyurethane, then acrylics, right? You frequently hear the word about the acrylics. Acrylic plates, acrylic utensils are also available because they are having transparent nature, right? And sometimes you can also provide opaque. Based on the manufacturing process, you can have either transparent or opaque one. And we can also use for decoration or any automobiles. Just now only I have said that we are using in car which are modified version of plastic, so that is known as acrylics, right? So in each and everything you need to have at least one example. If you go for polyurethane, we are using as a roofing and a gasket agent. If you go for acrylic, we can have automotive parts, right? So you can simply read this slide once at a while. I will provide you 1 minute for the same. Or you can have snapshot of this particular slide. I hope you have read this entire slide. Third and fourth category is polyethylene, right? It is flexible waxy material and translucent. Translucent means it is neither transparent nor opaque. So it is the third category of appearance, right? Widely and it is having abrasion and good chemical reaction resistance, low water absorption, right? So PVC, you simply need to read this entire slide once. Okay, so next construction material is timber. So if we simply go for timber, and before proceeding further, timber is a raw material which is available in trees, right? By cutting the trees, and it is in natural form, right? So the word has been derived from an timberian, right, which means to build. So most probably we are using timber as a construction material for building, right? And the best example where timber we are using as a building material is in Japan, right? So we are having usage of timber in construction of building, and we are also using in form of our furniture, so that is having carpentry usage, right? And there are more other engineering applications. So whenever we are obtaining timber, we are getting it through cutting of trees, right? So it is known as sawn. Sawn means a wooden log which has been cut from a tree, and it is having certain size and shape, right? Or you can say it will be having certain rough dimension, right? So we will obtain it in rough formation, then we will obtain this through different cuttings in a standard dimension, right? So these two things we can also obtain it from a tree, that is a tree which is live, right, in which we are cutting it. And there are certain trees which have already fallen down, which has been cutted, so from that we can obtain this rough timber. This is the structure of the timber that all we have learned, right? Actually this is not available in good shape, so I can have the Google of it. Timber cross section. So I hope the cross section is visible to you. So I hope the diagram is visible to you. Over here we are having the cross section of timber, right? We are having Cambian layer, inner bark, then after medullary rays, sapwood, outer bark, and a heartwood, right? So you need to draw this diagram, or you need to learn this diagram. It is very important from examination point of view. I will simply drop this diagram in your chat box. You can download it and you should learn this diagram. Whenever we are meeting next time, we will continue with the diagram or the cross section of a timber. So try to have the diagram, entire diagram, and you can download it from the chat box. I will simply drag and drop in that check box so you can use it. Okay, if it is not visible, I will drop this diagram into your chat box. You can have it and then you can learn it. We will continue from this diagram next time. Or else you can simply search in Google what is the cross section, and then you can have the cross section of this diagram.